everybody, it's your girl Audrey and Avery, and we're here with another video. So when I first decided to just be obedient and really just kind of document the journey of this whole, y'all gotta excuse my lips, everything just look crazy, right? Today's been crazy. But anyway, so when I decided to document this whole journey of entrepreneurship and the business and things like that, one, I wish I would have started it from the very beginning, but two, it's been a while where it's like I felt like it's something I should do, but then y'all, it's really tough because you want people to see the good days and you want people to see and celebrate all the good things that you have going on. And for me, I'm an extremely private person, so it's even more difficult in that regard, just to let people into my world in the least bit, right? So deciding to be obedient and really do this has been a challenge for me, and especially today. Today is one of those days in business that I literally drive by Subway real slow. And like, no offense to anybody who works at Subway, but I use that analogy because Subway for me is something that is easy. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that just doesn't require all the extra liability, all the extra headache, all the extra whatever. And it's one of my spots that I used to eat at quite a bit. And now that I don't eat there, I really think like, what was life like as a 9-to-5? You know, sometimes it's that, like, yo, it's a lot of challenges with it, but you get a consistent paycheck. You do what you're supposed to do and you get a consistent paycheck. And in business, sometimes it's not quite the way that works out, right? And it's even timing. And a lot of times, you know, when you work a 9-to-5, somebody has gone before you and figured it out, right? And said, this is what you should do in order for this business to be successful. So I definitely look at those things. Even now, I look at those things differently than when I looked at it when I was an employee. Now, being on the other side of things, I am the one, you know, my husband and I, we are the ones like looking at procedures and looking at processes and looking at the journey of the customer experience and making sure that that's well. And if not, you know, how do you correct that consistently? So that's something that we have to really work out and we have to evaluate. And today was just one of those days where it's just been tough. It's been tough. We've been working with this client for 2.5 years and they have decided to terminate. And not only is it a hit to us financially, it is a hit to us from a business relationship standpoint. You know, when you have that person that you are actually enjoy doing business with and things like that. And of course, the financial aspect of it, it's all different. It's all different. And today was just one of those days, not a pretty sight, right? And one of the things that they don't necessarily talk to you about in business and they can't necessarily prepare you for, you try to reach, of course, the clients that you win, but man, what happens to those clients that you lose? How do you handle it? How do you really deal with that part of it? And of course, this isn't our first client that we've lost, but I definitely think it hit close to home for sure for us. So again, it's just been one of those days where I know what God said. I know what he said. He said he was gonna do what he promised me. He's gonna do what he said he would do. And I have to stand on that. I have to be firm. What, mommy, what? No, ma'am, you cannot put your lips on that. I have to be firm with it. And I'm at a place now, like if this would have happened maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have been balling on the floor. I wouldn't even been able to speak right now. I would be so distraught, I'd be so hurt. But man, I tell you some of the things that I've come to a place in business. And right now we're at 6 years in, right? A little over 6 years in. And I tell you some of the things that I've learned. One, Your support system is everything. And at first, when I first started our business, I really thought that support meant a lot of people, right? Because you're like, okay, you want the business to grow, you want it to develop, you want it to, you just want it to be something, right? You want to make sure that your efforts are worthwhile, because it is something that you're putting your time and your energy into. So you want your efforts to be worthwhile. So I thought support meant a lot of people, right? And I was highly disappointed in the number of people that supported me and that I felt like were there for me in the way that I needed support. And that's, covered in a whole different video there. But I was highly disappointed with that. And what I realized, even after today, after the loss in the business, one of the things that I realized is it is not how many people you have to support you. It is literally the quality of support that you have. And I definitely have more people that support me than I realized. And yeah, but my husband, y'all have to, if you are a woman in business, and not saying that you cannot do it in business without a man, so please don't take this comment differently than how I intended. But if you are a woman in business and you have the opportunity to have a good man by your side, baby, when I tell you, you better get you a good man. You better get you a good man, and you better keep you a good man, okay? One of the things that made today real bearable, right? One, knowing the promise that God had, what he said to me, I have to hold on to that. Two, having my husband. All right, I don't want to just say a man, because this is my husband, right? And these are the moments, and even just dealing with a husband and knowing the sacrifice you make for your family and marriage, this is the moment, these are the moments where that matters to me, right? And it reminds me of, Lord, okay, this is the blessings that you were talking about. This is the favor you were talking about. This is the support you were talking about. My husband, the way he came alongside me, the way that he supported me, the way he had to work himself, so he couldn't be physically with me, but even just talking to him over the phone, and the way he stopped and he just asked me, can I pray for you? And can I be beside you? Can I, you know what I'm saying? And to know that this is a loss that will affect our bank account. This is a loss that will affect what we consider to be, our strive for legacy. This is something that will affect that. And the fact that, man, his response was everything. His response was peace for me. His response was, it made me be still for just a minute and remember that God is good, that God is great, that he is amazing. And some people may not agree with that. Some people may not, that may not be your perspective. But when I tell you, in the moments like this where I can literally feel the love of God from the way my husband responds to me, it's huge. It's huge. It allows me to see the favor of God in effect right before my very eyes. So even when I'm experiencing loss, and even when I'm experiencing something that would normally seem to be detrimental, it can't be, because I'm looking at the glory of God. I'm looking at the promises of God right before me. I look at my baby, and that's a story again that I tell separately, but I look at my baby here, and the fact that she's here, the fact that she's with me, the fact that I got out of this meeting, and one, I'm able to have my child with me, but two, I'm able to look in her face, and in a moment where there is such sadness for me, she looks at me and she gives me the biggest smile. I look at the favor of God. I look at the faithfulness of God and the blessings of God, even in a moment that brings me such sadness. And that's why it's important, extremely important in this journey, in the entrepreneurship journey, to have a great support. And support may not look like somebody who's buying your products. Support may not look like somebody who's using your service. Support may be the person that's there in the trenches, regardless if they know what you're talking about or not, regardless if they see the vision that you see or not. They know you, and they know if you put your hands to it, that is something that the Lord said, or that they're there to really uphold you and make sure that your spirit and your mental person is good, like your mental health is good. That's what I mean when I say support, and it's necessary. It's necessary. It is necessary, right? So that's one. You definitely want to make sure that you have a great support system, and you really want to make sure that you maintain perspective. It is so important to maintain perspective. So even now, and the loss, I'm thinking about it like, okay, Lord, I've seen you. I've seen us shifting like this before. And what happened in the last shift is that God had to shake some things out of place so he can bring some things and put some things in place, right? So even though this was a great loss, it was also a lot of our stress. The account itself was a lot of our stress during the day. It took up a lot of time and resources and things like that. And we're trying to figure out now where those things will be coming from, how we could redirect resources, how we could add additional resources in order to support this account. So the way that I have to keep things in mind is just keep it in perspective. Like, the Lord has never failed me yet. He's always been faithful. He's always been true. And I must look at this situation and say, Lord, you have not failed me yet. You can't, there's no way you're failing me now. There's no way you're failing me now, right? And just making sure that I keep that perspective. So anywho, today was a rough day. But it is definitely something that I've handled very differently than I have handled in years past. Very differently than I have handled in years past. So we're going to keep striving. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep trusting in God. We're going to keep believing, and we're going to watch and make sure that he does it. And the reason why that I want to be obedient now and make sure that I do record the journey is because one of these days I'm going to look back at it and I'm going to see God's blessing in his hand. And I want that on record. I want that on file. I want to say that, there was a day where I was asking the Lord, I just want 15 new contracts. I want to be able to look back on this day and say, Lord, not only did you give me 15 new contracts, but God, you did exceedingly abundantly above all that I could ever think or imagine. I want to be able to say that. And I also want record keeping for my children, for the legacy that's coming behind. And that, of course, would be something that I film separately as well. But man, just thinking this little girl has to grow up. If we have more children, when we have more children, they have to grow up and be able to see something. And I want to be able to have God's hand in his miracle recorded, right? What is possible when you believe God, when you stay faithful, when you do what he says. It doesn't mean that you'll be absolved from bad things happening to you, but it means the Lord will always be with you, that you have assurance. It will never fail. You'll never fail because God never fails. God never fails. You cannot be living within his will. You cannot be walking out his way. You cannot be just within his word and fail. You can't do it because God never fails. He never fails. And because I believe that, and people believe whatever they want to believe, you can say whatever you want to believe, but because I believe that, because I believe God is real, for one, I must believe that his word is true. And that's what we're going to stand on. That's what we're going to stand on. So, yeah. One of those. But yeah, we're about to even kick it up a notch because now I'm mad. And when I get mad, I get to work. Right? All right. Well, we'll see you guys. I'm going to go feed this little one, and we'll see you guys on the next one.